Alright everyone, RJ here. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm giving my 1 month review of the Google Pixel 8 Pro. And before I go any further in with this video, I want to say this may not be the most popular video that you see. It may offend a few people, some people may not like it, but I'm really going to try to cut through a lot of the bull. This being said, about this phone, a lot of false information, a lot of a lot of the bull crap nitpick stuff that really doesn't matter in everyday usage. So don't leave the video, please. It's taking me a long time to make this video. Just kind of bear with me, and hopefully it'll be a help. That's what I'm just really here trying to do, is just really just to be a help. So now I will say that this phone is not all sunshine and roses. It does have a few problems that need to be addressed, needs to be worked on, just like every phone does, and this one right here is no exception. So anyway, getting in with the phone. I have been using this phone for a solid month and basically have not had any issues with it. Okay, it's been a very great performing phone. I mean, just the design of it is beautiful. The hardware is fantastic. The cameras are great. It is like the point and shoot king here. It just takes very good photos. They have really stepped up in their video department. Video quality is really, really good compared to previous Pixels. So major plus on that. You got your little thermometer back here that is a little gimmicky. Hopefully they'll do something with that here, with maybe some feature drops or whatever. But we got to wait and see what happens there. But, they put it there. I don't know why, but hey, it is what it is. Now, I'm not going to get too technical today, with all the specs and all of this and all of that. That ain't the purpose of this video. That's for a different time. But like I said, I want to cut through a lot of the bull, a lot of the, lies, I guess you would say, about this phone and how it's an underperformer and it can't do this and it's this and that. And it's just, it's always something, with every Pixel, it's always something. So I'm not going to get too technical, but I will give some pros and some cons. And one of the things about this phone that I love is just the way it's made. Okay, this back glass is probably one of the best feeling back panels I have ever felt on a phone. I mean, if you've never touched it, once you do, I about guarantee you'll love it. It's just a really nice feeling phone, and I really do like it. Okay, I like the way that they made the camera a whole one complete area instead of the camera and then another little cutout here and all like that. I like the way that they done this here. To me, it just looks a whole lot better. Okay, so the design I do love. I think it looks really nice, very clean, and everything else. And the display. Now the display, really solid, really good. I think I may have hit that fingerprint scanner a few too many times, and wow, that face unlock just unlocked without me even really trying. But there you go. Another, is the biometrics. Now, some will say, oh, it's not very good. Biometrics it's not reliable. Well, yeah, it is. I mean, look at that. I mean, I'm not having any problem whatsoever with face unlock. Now, face unlock, when it does get lower light, you can about forget it. Fingerprint scanner works phenomenally well. It is an optical under display fingerprint scanner, but it does work very well. And I've had very few times where it just don't read. Of course, every phone has that issue from time to time, but 99% of the time it works just fine. The display is beautiful. Okay, you got that OLED, I think it's an LTPO OLED, with 2400 nits peak brightness, quad HD. I mean, it's clean. Okay, one of the best displays I've seen on a Pixel. It's right up there, in my opinion, with Samsung. It just looks good. Also the processor. Now, this does run the Tensor Gen 3 processor, and it's better in my opinion than the Tensor G1, Tensor G2. They really done a good job with this processor. And I want to say that yes, it's not going to outperform something like an 8 Gen 2, or something like that. Okay. A lot of things has been said about how it's an underperforming phone because, it's about the same performance as the 8 Gen 1. And, I use this analysis sometimes that, yeah, okay, it's not going to have the get up and go, I guess you would say, of the 8 Gen 2, where you have just lightning fast speeds, where it's just, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. All right. This is going to be a little bit behind that, but for what it does with all of its AI, the processor in this phone is not made for that straight line speed. Okay. It's made to be able to all that AI stuff, all the machine learning, all this other stuff that it does that other phones simply right now just does not do. Now, I've heard, from several people that this phone is considered like a upper mid-range phone because of the processor. And that's one of the silliest things I've heard because when you look at all the features, when you look at what this phone does, when you look at how it does, I mean, if you've never used this phone, I can see where you might listen to a YouTuber or two with 5-10 million subscribers who wants to get overly technical, and they are not really, I guess, advocating for the average consumer. And just because a phone with like an 8 Gen 2 is going to open an app a quarter of a second faster, that it's just a better phone in general. But in my usage, I have phones with the 8 Gen 1, 8 Plus Gen 1, 8 Gen 2, and now the Google Tensor G3. And just using these phones from day to day, I can't tell the difference. Okay, we do these speed tests, side by side speed test. You see my channel enough, you'll see where I take two phones side by side. I will push apps at the same time, and one may open a tenth of a second faster than the other. One may open a game up faster than the other. That's not real life. I run those tests for fun, and if you watch those videos, you will hear me say these are not to be taken literally, that it's just for fun. And these are not going to be, in any indication of how your phone is going to perform from day-to-day usage, because when you're using one specific phone, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between this phone and a phone with an 8 Gen 2 unless you're just really, I'll put it this way. I've made videos, okay, in 4K with the Pixel 8 Pro. I use Power Director, okay? I'm recording right now with a Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra with the 8 Gen 1. When I record a video in 4K, when I'm editing, exporting, the Samsung struggles. It crashes on the app. It has problems with this, that, and the other. This phone flies through it. It has no problem whatsoever. It does a good job, okay? So while some may say, well, the processor is just not up to par with this, up to that, yeah, in straight line speed, it's not going to be the 8 Gen 2, okay? It's slightly more powerful than the 8 Gen 1, but not quite as powerful as the 8 Gen 2. Some look at benchmark tests and say, hey, benchmark tests are more important than you think. No, they're really not, because it's not really indicative of how your phone's going to work from day-to-day usage. I've said it, a lot of others have said it, the benchmarks are not everything, okay? I have two other phones here that I want to show you. One's a screenshot from the 22 Ultra, because I can't show you right now because I'm using it to record this video, and one is from the OnePlus 11, which honestly has been my favorite phone of 2023 and probably one of the most underrated phone of this year, that runs at 8 Gen 2 with 16 gigabytes of RAM. And whenever I use these phones side by side, I can't tell much of a difference in performance, just on your everyday average social media, watching videos, making phone calls, text messages. They work basically the same. So if you're all about benchmark test, I'll show you those now and you'll see the difference. And here you go. Here are benchmark tests from 3 phones, the 8 Gen 1, the Google Tensor G3, and the 8 Gen 2 on the OnePlus 11. Now, for some reason, the single core is lower than normal on the OnePlus 11, so not really sure what's going on there. Normally, it's higher than that, but there could have been anything could be a factor from that. But on the left is the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra with a single core score of 1745, multi-core 4024. The Pixel 8 Pro 1774, 4452 multi-core, and 1550 single core here, but about almost 1,000 points higher in the multi-core at 5225 on the OnePlus 11. Like I said, for some reason that single core score is not accurate on here. Like I said, numbers always change. So you can see it's in between the 8 Gen 1 and the 8 Gen 2. I would put this processor around the 8 Plus Gen 1, which is a very good processor. So yeah, they're your benchmarks. The problem today is the fact that you'll have someone with 5, 10, 15 million subscribers who wants to compare it with an iPhone, who wants to compare this with a Samsung or whatever the case may be, and give you every reason under the sun why this is an inferior phone. Okay? Whenever it's just not true. I would dare say that 90% of people that are bashing this phone has never used it. If they have used it, it was 5 minutes at a Best Buy. But a lot of it is just regurgitation of what somebody else has said. You know what I'm saying? And believe me, what I'm saying here, I'm not trying to sound rude or nothing like that in this video. It's just the fact that this is a very good performing phone. As somebody who's used it for a solid month, I've had very few issues with it. The phone is very smooth. Now, I will say this, okay? I believe that there needs to be an update, because whenever you are like scrolling on Chrome, on some apps, it is a bit choppy at times. Could that be fixed with a software update? Absolutely, it could. But for the majority of the time, it is as smooth as any other phone that you will use. It's going to work just fine for your daily usage. It's going to do everything that you want it to do. Social media, especially your camera needs, is going to far outdo what you want it to do, because these are some of the best cameras around. And, as just an overall phone, it's great. Now, I want to get into the battery, which is a pro and a con. Battery life on this phone is generally good, okay? If you haven't watched my video that I made about the battery life and what kind of battery life I get out of my Pixel 8 Pro, I'll leave a card up here or something like that if you want to watch that and check that out. But I have found battery to be kind of a mixed bag. One charge can get excellent battery. The next charge, not so good. The next charge, really good battery. And I've used my phone pretty much the same way all the time. Sometimes I can get close to 3 days with really good screen on time. Other days, a day and a half with like low screen on time. So the battery to me in this phone is a little inconsistent. Can that be fixed with updates? Absolutely. I'm sure it probably can. But if I had to say what battery, battery is a pro and a con, because it is good, but it's not always the greatest. Okay, a 5,050 milliamp hour battery, it is what it is. Also, the last negative I want to say about this phone, and it is truly the last negative that I want to say about this phone, is its retail $1,000 price tag. And it's not because the phone is not up to the task of being a $1,000 phone. It's the fact that they gave this phone 128 gigabytes of internal storage. at $1,000. That's unacceptable. For $1,000, this should have had a minimum of 256 gigabytes of internal storage, 128 gig. I mean, I got phones right now that cost $200 that has, their only configuration of storage is 256 gigabytes of internal storage. Yet, a phone that costs $1,000, they give you 128 gig. Unacceptable. Hopefully, from now on, they'll up that storage if they're going to charge $1,000 for this phone. $1,000 for this phone with upgraded storage, I would say, yeah, 100%. And I still say 100% because I think it's a great phone. I think it's a great phone. I do. Cameras are great. Everything works like it's supposed to. I have no problems with this phone. It has done everything that I wanted it to do. All of its AI that it's going to be getting over the next months is going to be crazy. I probably won't use half of what it's going to be compatible to be able to do. Some complain about, some of the stuff in the video or the pictures has to be offloaded or up in the cloud or whatever to this, that, and the other. Just get over that stuff. Most people don't care about that stuff. And honestly, we shouldn't either. If we're being honest here, we shouldn't either. We should honestly just get past some of this nitpick stuff that really does not matter. If this had a Samsung logo on it, nobody would have a problem with it. We all know that. That's just fact. Okay? But because it's got the big G here on the back, it is the new punching bag because LG is no longer on the scene. Okay? That's just plain and simple. That's cold hard facts, So the Pixel 8 Pro is going to satisfy your needs, okay? Some of the best cameras, as I mentioned. Video has really been greatly improved. I've even heard some complain about the dual speakers and how they don't sound good. These dual speakers sound phenomenal, okay? The bottom has some really nice, slow, punchy sound, with some good mid sound, higher sound at the top speaker. Very evenly done. They get very loud. They sound really good with no distortion. And along with this beautiful display, it's just an entire package. Okay, it can push through what other phones can push through without breaking a sweat. The phone does not get hot. Okay. The phone, it's going to get warm. Every phone gets warm. I don't care what phone you own. If you're pushing it hard, guess what? This is a little thin phone. It's not a thick phone. It's not got fans blowing in and out of it. It's not like a computer setup where it's got ginormous fans blowing all the heat out and all that kind of stuff. This is a phone. It does not have all that stuff. Okay. It does not have nowhere to go that much. So, phones are going to get warm. If you're recording in 4K, if you're outside at 90, 100 degrees and you're recording at 4K, or you got your phone in a windshield mount with the sun bearing down on it, it's going to get hot. That's any phone. That's not just a Pixel thing. Okay. So we need to get over a lot of the nitpicking stuff where every other manufacturer, I'll go ahead and say it, Apple and Samsung, okay? They get a pass on everything. We know that. But I'm really wanting to I'm just being real with y'all, okay? I did not get this phone, use it for 3 or 4 days, throw out a full review. You cannot throw out a full review on a phone in less than a week or in a week, okay? Even the battery does not get broken in good in a week, okay? It takes a week, if not a little bit longer, for the battery to learn your usage patterns to tell you and to show you the kind of battery life you're going to be getting on your phone. So you can't get a phone on Monday and then give it a full review on a Friday, you just can't do that. So is this phone going to be as powerful as a Galaxy S23 Ultra? I don't own that phone. I wish I did. I don't own that phone. Is that phone going to be faster in straight line performance? Yeah. Does it got the S Pen support? Yes, and I like that. Okay, both of them are really good phones. I mean, I had the 22 Ultra. I've had it since when it was released last year, 2022. Okay, we're not far from the S24 from coming out. That phone has done very well by me. Okay, but using this phone, okay, and seeing how it does do things faster than that phone does. It hangs right up there with the OnePlus 11 for what I use my phone for. Everybody uses their phones differently. I understand that. If you want something with just some straight line speed, you might tell a little bit of difference, but you're not going to tell a ginormously great big difference. Okay, just for example here, I'm going to keep it as short as possible. I know it went longer than I wanted to. If you got an S23 Ultra with the 8 Gen 2, 12 gigabytes of RAM, all that good stuff, if you take it to work one day and you use it for what you normally use your phone for, if you browse social media, if you take some pictures, take some video, if you are browsing, doing emails, browsing the internet, whatever you may do, then the next day you bring this phone to work and use it for the same thing, most likely you're not going to tell a difference because you're not sitting there with both phones side by side, opening up apps and doing things at the exact same time. You know what I'm saying? So we really need to think about, what's best for the consumer, what's best for the average consumer who wants a good phone. Yes, $1,000 is pricey. Do I think that we really need phones at $1,000, $700, $800, $900? No, I don't. I don't. There's phones out there right now that are $400, $500 or less, and they do a phenomenal job other than maybe the camera is sacrificed, okay? But if you want a phone, I mean, this has got 7 years of operating system updates. This phone is supported until 2030. Will anybody use this phone that long? I really doubt it, okay? 7 years is a long time, all right? Most people can't keep a phone 7 years or 5 years, or even 3 years anymore, okay? But it's got it, Will it be usable in 7 years? I don't know. But, it's just the fact that this is not an upper mid-range phone because it don't have a Qualcomm processor. This phone has the ability to perform as good with normal usage as your 23 Ultra, as a OnePlus 11, or any other phone that you want to throw at it. This is a flagship phone, okay? The processor, everybody may not like it. I get it. This phone may not have the straight line power of an 8 Gen 2, okay? But it does a very good job. Okay, it's going to do what you want it to do when you want it to do it. If you've never owned the phone, you really can't say nothing about it. Okay, if you've only used it for 5 minutes, you've not used the phone. Okay, so like I said, I mean, a great phone, a lot of pros, screen, durability, the hardware, the software, cameras, battery is a pro and a con. There is some things that can be fixed, like some scrolling stutters here and there. All that can be fixed, okay? It's a great phone. I highly recommend it. And right now at $799, I think it's a good deal. Right now, Samsung is kind of battling out with, the Pixel 8 Pro with the 23 Ultra, being on sale for $899 right now. I think at Best Buy, this is $799. You got to kind of choose what you want there. There is no right or wrong. Both of them are fantastic phones, and I can't dog either one of them because both of them are fantastic. Both of them are great phones, and you can't go wrong with either one of these phones. Everybody has their own opinions. I understand that, but I don't hold much stock in opinions from somebody who's never owned the phone, regardless of what phone that it is. So, like I said at the beginning, not very popular video, but somebody has to say it. I'm not afraid to say it, and I'm telling everybody out there that if you want a great phone and you want that stock experience, you want some of the best cameras and a phone that just works, the Pixel 8 Pro is a great phone. It's not inferior, okay? So the choice is always yours. This is just my personal opinion. If you agree with it, cool. If you don't agree with it, cool. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Just be sure that you own the phone before you give an opinion instead of regurgitating what somebody said in a review. There are a lot of good reviewers out there who own this phone, who've been using this phone as a daily since it released, who are giving their honest opinions about this phone, whether they're pros, whether they're cons, and that's what's up. Just don't listen to every review that you hear, because some will use the phone for less than a week, give a little review, compare it with other phones, and give you all the negatives and why it's inferior, and they'll throw it in the drawer, never do use it again for 6 months, and then they'll, whatever. So yeah, that's all I want to say about that. I know this wasn't very popular. I told you it wasn't going to be very popular. If you stuck around through the whole video, you're awesome, okay? But if you got any questions, leave it down below in the comment section. I'm dreading seeing some of the comments, but I'm looking forward to seeing some as well. If you're new around here and you want to hear these unsugar-coated reviews, who is just, going to give you my opinion based on my experience with the phone, then consider subscribing and turn on that bell for all post notifications of future videos that will be coming out sometime sooner or later. That's all I got to say. Y'all have a good one. Thanks for watching.